A high school football game got ugly, real ugly, with the football players apparently going after the ref. All right, and this is video of it. Video seems to capture one player blindsiding the official while another hit the official. There's the first hit while he was already down on the field. The two players have already been suspended. But obviously, with video like this, there are a lot of questions remaining, including, did the players plan the hit? Was the coach perhaps involved? And should they face more punishments? Joining us now for the legal fallout, Lise Wheel, Fox News legal analyst, and Wendy Patrick, veteran prosecutor and trial attorney. Lise, first our understanding is that these two players have been suspended from the team, suspended from school. Well,
right.
No kidding. The question is, should they be in handcuffs?
Yes. Assault and battery. Look at that. It's on video. I mean, it's not that they're just running around and, bump into him. They push him down. He's lucky that he can walk out of there and without sustaining more injuries. Now, juveniles, they'll be tried as juveniles so they're not going to be convicted of that much time. But what I want to know, and what I would have with those two, is what I call a come to Jesus moment, which is you come to me, you tell me exactly what happened. You tell me about the collusion. You tell me about an adult that was involved. If so, you tell me now, and maybe I'll go easier on you. Maybe I'll give you a plea deal. If you don't, you're in big trouble.
Well, it seems like you could be in big trouble, including possibly a felony charge. Wendy, that goes to the real issue. When you watch the video, you see the first player hit him from behind. You'd have to really make a big stretch to think that this kid was going after the ball or something involved in a play. The second guy piling on the ref, it would seem almost impossible that the kids hadn't colluded.
That's going to be the issue, Leland. Was this a coordinated attack or a coincidence? It doesn't look like the second attack was a spur-of-the-moment decision. What they're going to be looking at now, while it's true, youth matters, they're also going to be looking at the background circumstances that might lead to a conspiracy. There's all kinds of other factors, by the way, that are going to factor into whether or not this is a felony, whether it's a misdemeanor, what the punishment is going to be. And part of that's going to have to do not just with the context, was it pre-planned, and if so, with who, but what are the extent of the injuries? Thankfully, this ref is, we don't know the full extent of how he's been recovering, but he's been speaking out. He's not dead. But how significant were his injuries? Remember, they're padded and they've got helmets on. This ref was totally exposed, and gosh, that footage is hard to walk because he was clearly ambushed when he didn't see it coming.
And when you think about the context, going back to the context, Wendy, exactly, that these refs had just made what the team thought was a bad call against them. So they were upset, perhaps. Did the coach say something saying, hey, you know, let's get back to that ref? We don't know that. That's why you've got to get these kids in there now, get them with their lawyers, and tell them this is it. This is your chance to tell the truth.
Yeah, well, and hopefully they do tell the truth, especially if a coach was involved, because that would take it to a whole different level.
That's not true.
Wanted to get your ladies' thoughts on this. A trial beginning today in Denver for a fellow by the name of Harold Henthorne. We've been covering this case. The man is accused of pushing his second wife off a cliff and to her death during a hike at Colorado's Rocky Mountain National Park. You see a picture of the couple here in their happier times. Prosecutors plan to introduce evidence about the seemingly freak death of his first wife 20 years ago. She was allegedly crushed when a car slipped off a jack while she was changing a flat tire in rural Colorado. Ruled an accident. That death now under new investigation as well. Henthorne wasn't charged in that, but police say they are now going to reopen it as they look at this second case. Interestingly enough, one of the big pieces of circumstantial evidence, which is all the prosecutors have, is a map of Rocky Mountain National Park with a really big X where his wife died. Lise, is circumstantial evidence enough in a case like this?
Yes. I mean, he literally marked an X where he was going to kill her. That's what the prosecution is going to say. And they have these, what they call prior bad acts. That's the death of his first wife. The judge let that in. A lot of times judges won't let that in, but here they did. Circumstantial evidence is good evidence. Direct evidence is somebody actually saw him with the gun over her, you know, killing her. That doesn't happen every day. Circumstantial evidence cases are built brick by brick. The X marks the spot, you know, where she fell, what she said before. All of those things, you tie those together.
All right, so you tie together the fact that you probably wouldn't want your sister to marry this guy, considering his past. Second of all, he had a $4.5 million life insurance policy on his second wife. Third of all, you have X marks the spot. But on the other hand, Wendy, there is no medical examiner's report that says this murder. Nobody saw it happen. How do you prove this beyond a reasonable doubt? This isn't, gee, it looks bad. You got to prove this to a jury.
Legally, circumstantial evidence is every bit as good as direct evidence, and the judge made a powerful ruling when he ruled that the jury was going to get to hear about the freak circumstances under which his first wife died. The reason there's no direct evidence is both of these freak accidents occurred in remote locations with no witnesses. That alone is chilling. Even were it not for the X marks the spot diagram, there's plenty of evidence, including the financial incentive, for a jury to be able to conclude that this is proof beyond a reasonable doubt, even though nobody actually saw it except for the defendant, who, by the way, prosecutors have noted have had wildly different explanations. Remember, this was the result of an indictment after a 2-year investigation. So there's a lot of evidence that we're about to hear come out in the courtroom that's going to show exactly how this can be proven beyond a reasonable doubt.
And don't forget, too, that the second wife here that she's on trial for actually told her mother a long time ago, a couple years ago, that a beam, when she was working, a beam almost fell down and killed her. If she hadn't moved just a little bit, she would have been killed then. So there's another instance where she may have been, may have been attempted murder. That's what the prosecution's going to go for.
Also, no witnesses to that incident, the beam dropping incident. So now we have even more evidence that they're going to be looking at to decide this.
Well, and federal prosecutors don't often bring cases they don't think they can win.
That's true.
Lisa and Wendy, thanks so much. We'll see how opening statements go today in Denver. Thanks, ladies.
Leland.
Jenna?
Thank you.